Welcome back to the SlimBits series of Gamer Destiny. So, episode 4. This was the episode that really felt like Act 2 for the whole series, the whole movie, I should say. The first few episodes, or moments of the movie, were all built around establishing the world of Playsylvania, how things kind of worked, or giving you an impression of how things worked. Introduced Rob, Mia, Killscreen, Gilbert, the Resistance, gave you a sense of their deal. And then just by the end of the third episode, just take it all away, blow it all up. And episode 4 is when you really start ratcheting up some of the tension. You start playing with those established rules. Yeah, it was fun. And really start introducing some of the higher concept stuff that I had planned out for Gamer of Destiny. Some stuff that, was where I tried to sneak in a little bit of subtle commentary and depth that, in hindsight may have been taking on too much or biting off more than I can chew. But we'll get into that, and we'll get into that as we watch. So, right off the bat, the reason everything in this room... by the way, this all takes place in the mothership of Killscreen, the Slay Station, as it's called. The reason everything is tinted red is because it is made to look like looking into a Virtual Boy. That old Nintendo peripheral handheld... not even handheld, but... that failed system of Nintendo that gave people headaches because the rotoscoping 3D technology could only be made in that awful red tint. And it was just an eyesore to look at. But I thought it had a really neat, very alien and somehow futuristic look to it. So I thought, okay, so Killscreen, the bad guy here who, represents the shooter tribes, primarily first-person shooters, primarily alien first-person shooters, and more directly, Halo. So here's the evil alien invaders. All their technology, or at least the interiors of their ship, looked like Virtual Boy. And that speaks into a larger concept that I will get into a little bit later, but it has to play into with failed gaming peripherals. This little moment where Rob wakes up inside of the barrel. Yeah, how did he survive the fall? Well, he survived the fall like many a player of Donkey Kong Country survived the fall. They landed in a barrel cannon and could recover from that little mishap. It's really stupid, but you know what? If it happened in video games, it could happen in Playsylvania. Okay, so... Rob finds himself all alone. The only thing he has, he doesn't have his vehicle, the only thing he has is his weapon, but he has no allies, no way of knowing where he is, no way of knowing where he should be going. He sets out, and he comes across the Hidden Temple. Hidden Temple has a lot of cute little Easter eggs, like it has 2 statues in front of it that are meant to be doing Hadoukens at each other. That shrub, that bush, obviously Pikachu-looking creature jumped out of it. It was based on the shrub in Super Mario Brothers that is just a reskin Cloud from Super Mario Brothers. And the hieroglyphs on the temple wall are kind of meant to look like the paintings on the wall are meant to look like the scaffolding of the original Donkey Kong arcade. And the background mountains are meant to look like the background mountains of Super Mario World. But anyways, I digress. I should be talking about Jade Swift here. Jade, who is meant to look like the stereotypical video game babe, that of which there are countless numbers of. But if I had to single out just one inspiration, Lara Croft. It's Lara Croft. Lara Croft is one of the most well-known gaming heroines, and she is always depicted to be an expert in her field, extremely capable, very brave. One of the only things people wind up talking about her are her looks. And I thought like that. Well, that just means she is an underappreciated genius, and I love characters like that. So knowing that I wanted another female character in my story, and that I wanted to pay homage to the video game babe, I wanted her to be one of the smartest people in the room. She is the researcher, archaeologist for the Resistance, extremely good at what she does. And she's kind of like almost the polar opposite of Mia. You know, she's older, she's certainly more mature, more confident in herself, maybe a little bit more adept in battle. You know, you kind of have to wonder why she's not leading her own tribe, which eventually does happen at the end. And her design is like full of stuff like that. I mean, for the most part, it is just Lara Croft. You know, almost to the color scheme. She has Meryl from Metal Gear Solid's haircut, and she has the hiking boot stilettos, which I think says a lot about the duality of the kind of character she is. The stone tablet here. That writing on there, those hieroglyphs are actually the Hylian. That's the font of the Hylian text that you'll see in any Legend of Zelda game. I downloaded that font and I wrote that out myself. And it's been a while since I've had a look at it, but I think it says, it's meant to convey that here's where the actual legend in this ancient dead language is written. But what it actually says is, I think, if you can read this, you're a huge nerd just like me. Thanks for watching. So if anyone was, racking their brains trying to figure that out, that's actually what it says. Okay, so, oh wow, kind of moving along here. So Stevie here, he is I'll just jump in. He is, spoiler alert, he betrays the Resistance. He defects to the enemy team. And the reason I chose Stevie to be the one to do that, he represents the music-based games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. And when those games first came out, my friends and I, we loved them. We were all about those games. We would compete in the tournaments. They would be the soundtrack to our house parties. I actually got to hang out with some of the harmonics devs when I went to PAX one year. I was all about the Guitar Hero games and the Rock Band games. And, they got immensely popular, and too popular. Like, there were new iterations of it every year. There were copycat imitators that were just not good. And they diluted the brand, and it just stopped being fun. It made sense that the music guy in the Resistance would wind up being the sellout. So if you were planning on looking into Gamer of Destiny for some deeper meaning or for certain themes, that's one of them. This was my jilted fan making a dig or a statement against the nature of the music games. Like sort of a revenge fantasy, or like my statement against the Rock Band and Guitar Hero games. But also, when I knew I wanted to do that, I said, well, there's got to be a big guitar battle at one point in the script, and I was really looking forward to that moment in the story. It was a way for me to motivate myself to get through the earlier episodes. Just wait till the guitar battle part. Just wait till the guitar battle part, because if you can recreate what you see in your head, it's gonna be awesome. And it, maybe I went a little bit overboard, and I tried a little bit harder to make it look cool. I cared a little bit more about this scene than I did most anything else, but it was really like a scene like this really stands out compared to some of the earlier stuff that I've animated. And I love the music choices too. Like, you can probably find hundreds of other video game songs that, there have been hard rock and hard guitar covers for that are more awesome than the Bloody Tears from Castlevania and the Mega Man 3 intro. But if there are, I don't care. To me, those are just awesome songs, and there are great guitar covers of it. So yes, they are our guitar battle songs. And this is also the first time that Rob makes a kill of a faction leader, and we get a little imprint on his hand to let him know that that something has changed about him, something is different. And we kind of get into that a little bit later. Oh yeah, going back to Jade for an instant. Yes, she's our exposition machine. She fills in the blank of the lore and explains things to Rob and therefore the audience of how things work. Because like I needed that. I needed Rob for someone to interact with who knew a little bit more about the world than he did. And who was also like a more capable companion, given that now the stakes have been raised a little bit more.
Metropolis, huh? Where's that?
Roughly a day's walk from here. 2 hours if we drive. Metropolis is on the east coast. We should make good time if we stay on the main road.
So what else about me did it say?
I love the companion cube dice blocks there. Okay, now this is the part of the story where we learn a little bit more about Mia and her role. I touched, I covered a lot of. I don't really have a lot more to say about Mia, except now that we are establishing that she was once the leader of a people, and now we actually see how that goes over. Oh, and those guards behind her, they are based after the gate guards in Ocarina of Time. The airships floating in the sky are based on, a number of different airships that you'll see in RPGs like Final Fantasy and Skies of Arcadia. Her palace is based on the Island of Zeal from Chrono Trigger. Just like I only had like 20 or so seconds to show her complete backstory, show that she had followers, show that she had a kingdom, and that it all went to pieces, and that she let someone else deal with the invasion because she panicked or what have you.
Including your own hype.
Oh, so I'm a jerk. Glad we cleared that up.
Okay. So now we're going to learn a little bit more about Killscreen and his motivations. I'll be the first to admit that Killscreen is not that complex or interesting of a villain. I mean, already he's kind of visually unimpressive, he's kind of frail-looking, and that's kind of why I wanted to build up the notion of a technological advantage he'd have over most people. But, he wants to rule the world. He wants to enslave people. He's not sympathetic or anything. And personally, I think that's kind of fine for a villain. I didn't need the Emperor from Star Wars to be very sympathetic. I don't need the Joker or Hannibal Lecter or Bowser to be sympathetic, or Jaws. Some villains are just good for what they are. But on the larger scale of things, early on in the production, or at least in the scripting phase, I wanted Killscreen and his alien technology and his extraterrestrial ways to be about peripheral-based gaming and the negative aspects of it. How you would need to buy something else in order to enjoy a game. That's why his hands are modeled after the Power Glove. I'm sure if the Oculus Rift had been announced while I was designing his character, his visor there would clearly be an Oculus Rift. Just something that takes away from the traditional holding a controller in your hand to play a game, on a console, because Gamer of Destiny is nothing if not a love letter to console gaming. I shied away from that concept because I would basically be making a technophobe, pro-Luddite argument to an audience which I hope would be gamers, and gamers are very embracing of new technologies, and I didn't want to say that I'm against technology, so I kind of caught myself on inadvertently making that kind of statement. But I liked a lot of the designs, like the Virtual Boy aesthetic, and I liked the Power Glove gauntlets and the Wii balance board hoverboards. I liked that a lot, so I kept it. Okay, now we get into Bobby Thompson's part of town, which is all based on Grand Theft Auto, and we get to learn a little bit more about Jade and her background. In hindsight, I wish I had... she is meant to be from this city, which is owned by Bobby Thompson, and everyone else in this city has pointed elven ears, or Hylian ears, from the Legend of Zelda games. So, yeah, I should have designed her with pointed ears as well. So, just assume there are pointed ears covered up behind her hairdo.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna cut off your head now. Oh, calm down, will you, Rob? Okay, how do you know my name?
Dark Mia here. Oh, this is where I wanted to have like a little bit of an emotional core to sort of pay off to the they're gonna fall in love angle that we had with Rob and Mia in the earlier parts of the series. I'm glad that I made the choice to have Mia be jilted and jaded by, you know, her losing faith in both herself and Rob, because I think a lot of people watching the first part of Gamer Destiny were rolling their eyes at the prospect of this just being like a typical storybook romance or like a male power fantasy. And I didn't want it to be that. I wanted to show that, you know, Mia is her own character. Rob can't expect this to be a walk in the park for him. I think that gives the story a bit more of a believable core. Because if you couldn't necessarily believe them as a couple that would naturally fall in love, you could definitely see that they cared for one another, and then there's like a massive divide between them. And I definitely think people could believe in that more than the sudden romance. So that if and when they do reconcile, there is a more genuine feeling there. So that's all I had to say for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that was somewhat informative, that there is something else going on behind the scenes of Gamer Destiny, or at least that was the intention, and maybe I flew a little too close to the sun on that, but what I tell you, episode 4, stakes are getting raised, things are happening. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Bye.